Hey team, good evening. This is Mrs. Velasquez, and I would like to welcome you to the final week of the quarter, which is week number 9. So, week number 9, we just kept really light. For many of us, of course, we have a 4.5 day work week this week. We have minimum days on Friday, and then for most of you across the district, of course, you guys have a nice 3-day weekend coming. Us teachers will be in meetings, but you guys get to relax, get to sort of rest and kind of catch up with any homework. So you have a fresh start, ready to start strong on Monday, or excuse me, on Tuesday, and ready to start again on your way to first semester. Okay, before I dive into week number 9, I just want to go ahead and briefly kind of address some concerns regarding week number 8, which is the Enlightenment DBQ. Reading your first initial reflections the end of the week, a lot of people are responding that the most difficult part of this week was communicating and contacting with your partners. So, of course, state the obvious. Yes, that is a challenge, absolutely, especially if you're on different sites. This first project, it was really luck of the draw. I just randomly kind of, matched some names on the paper. It wasn't a rhyme or reason, kind of such as life, right? Sometimes there's not a plan. Once you're given a name, once you're given a partner, it's what you do to make sure you sort of make the magic happen, okay? So for those partners that collaborated well, I'm guessing that you checked Schoology early to access your partner's email address, which I did post on week 8. So I provided all your student ID numbers and then just simply student@auhsd.us. Okay, once you guys have communicated with each other, hopefully it was very easy to create those 5 slides. And really what I'm going to be looking at, of course, is how did you incorporate the documents into either your essay slides or if you chose to do your organization slides. So looking at the Enlightenment philosophers at this point, you should understand that the main idea of the philosophers was freedom. Whether it's John Locke's freedom of government, freedom of religion for Voltaire, or for Mary Wollstonecraft, freedom and equality for women's rights and women's education. So that being said, I just want to remind you guys again that partner work will be, sprinkled throughout the course. Obviously, online learning allows more individual assignments. I try to incorporate the discussion boards and, of course, our flip grids along the way. But there will be projects, of course, that we will need to team up, group projects, partner projects. So it's really essential. Remember, if you kind of check in maybe only once a week or check your email every other day, definitely in an online class, you have to be checking your email, logging on Schoology on a daily basis. Remember, I give you daily points just for simply logging on to Schoology, checking the first Google form, and just basically creating that one reflection, right? Your rosebud, positive, something strong, something that clicked, and of course your thorn, something that challenged you, you had a question. So that's kind of your daily attendance. So for those of you who have been putting off logging in, which I get it, right? First quarter is busy, adjusting to the grind, balancing your classes. Like I said earlier, you guys are the best and the brightest. You guys are in sports and athletics and ASB and choir and dance and all these extra activities. But of course, your priorities come from your academics. And I'm here to support you, but you definitely have to make time on a daily basis to really survive. And at this point, I really don't want you to survive. I'm hoping that you're thriving. I'm hoping that you're really owning this individual learning, kind of self-paced, and you're really enjoying the process. So for this week, I'm going to keep it lighter because, like I said, I really want to tie up one more assignment for the Enlightenment that I wasn't able to squeeze in last week. But then most of this week is going to be for the reflective process. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the week ahead. All right, so when you take a look at Schoology, you'll find that week 9 is open. It is titled Songs and Reflections and the first quarter. You're excited already. Okay, so when you open up on week 9, you'll see that there's 4 assignments for the week. Please note, due to grades being due and other commitments, there will be no live conference this week. However, I will be available via Schoology email if you do have any questions. This week I will be hosting for some of you who've asked questions about the Costa Rica trip. This is open for all e-learning students across the district. So if you are interested in the Costa Rica trip, a few of you emailed me. Reminder, our first informational meeting is at Anaheim High School, room 106, and that's just really to give parents information about the itinerary, fundraising, and this trip is planned for the summer of 2021. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to email me. So again, to be clear, there will be no week 9 conference live this week. However, if you need anything, please feel free to email me. Okay. When you click on 9.1, we have the usual week 9 calendar is posted. I did get some feedback from a few people saying there was some trouble accessing the Google Forms. My understanding is you might need to be logged onto your Gmail account. So if you're logged onto an outside email, let's say on your phone, and you're trying to access the Google form, it might boot you out because it's not a school email. So if you're having trouble with that, or it's saying you need permission, do me a favor, try to log into your Gmail account and see if it will open from there, because I think that was something that was affected a few people. Okay, so same format, nothing too crazy. Remember, end of the week reflections are the thoughtful ones. These will require a little more meat, a little more thinking, a little more evidence. These ones can be very brief. Can't stress that enough. Again, giving you easy points. So those people taking up on those points, you definitely want to keep doing that with your daily reflections and your calendars, okay? When you go back over here to 9.2. 9.2 I'm excited about. I wanted to try to squeeze it in last week, but I thought maybe with the partner work, which I can see now was a challenge. A lot of people said just finding time to meet with their partner or email their partner was very time consuming. So I'm kind of glad I saved this. Plus, I'll be honest, it's something fun. Okay. So this project is called Enlightenment Song Mini Project. Okay. So for this project, you can kind of read over the directions. Okay. So why are we doing this assignment? That's always a good question, right? Because music is a universal language of mankind. We just finished our discussion of Enlightenment, talking about revolution of ideas. These philosophers, again, challenged what we know to be true, to looking at justice, equality, freedom, rights, liberties, those democratic ideals that we hit in our first unit. So for this one, instead of using documents, you are actually going to get to choose your own document in the sense that you are going to have to find a song. So for my music buffs out there, this is your jam. If you're not very musically inclined, don't worry, I have some ideas posted on the directions. Okay, but ultimately what you're going to do, what I have to do for this assignment is you have to select a song that you're going to study. You can provide one of your own, or again, you can use one of my options. Of course, I put the reminder, you can't have any F-bombs or any foul language. Obviously, it's got to be school appropriate, but for most cases, even for our hard rock or rap artists, there's going to be a clean version or radio edit if you're kind of into more, we'll say, edgy type of music, so to speak. So I broke it down in different categories. For the slides project, you're going to have 5 slides total, okay? Minimum of 3 facts from your research on the slide. So when I say facts, I also probably change that. We're looking at lyrics. So in essence, you're basically selecting a song and showing how it connects to one of the thoughts or one of the advancements of the philosophers, right? Is the lyrics of the song relating to, like I said, that equality for women's rights, perhaps, or maybe talking about, freedom across for all Americans. Okay, so I'm asking for some sound, some transition. You will need to provide the actual song, so you might need to sort of go to the tube of you and do some searching there, because I would need to actually see a video, or hear, I should say, the actual song with the lyrics. Now, the cool thing about YouTube is a lot of the songs actually provide the lyrics, a lot of the videos, right, people that have taken the time to type them up. If you don't have the typed lyrics, you will have to locate those, and you'll have to put that on one of your Google slides so I can actually read the lyrics in that case. Okay, so you're basically arguing information on the issue, okay, of the song and how it relates to the Enlightenment philosophers. Either it relates to the lyrics, literally or metaphorically, it relates to the theme, something we talked about. And then basically you're going to be arguing again why your song is representative of the Enlightenment. Okay, so if you scroll down, if you're really getting stuck, I gave you, now these are all across the board, so these aren't, the top. I like all kinds of music. I don't discriminate in that way. So we got Bob Marley, we got Pink, we got Three Doors Down, Jimmy Eat World, Bob Dylan, classics here. So these are ones that maybe could just start your search, but like I said, do not feel limited by those song selections. If you're really into Taylor Swift music, go for it. Okay, pick a pop song. If you're really into punk music, Social Distortion, or you want to look at some, rock and roll, in that case, classic rock, Led Zeppelin. So it's totally up to you. Again, you're not limited. You could do a Jay-Z song, but remember the trick of course, it has to be radio edit or clean edit in that case. So this one is going to be fun, and like I said, it's actually you selecting a document in quotation marks for you to take a look at. Okay, 9.3 is where you're going to be writing your reflection letter for the quarter. So each quarter in my regular seat-based classes, and obviously now my e-learning students, will be writing reflection letters. Why? Because like every day we reflect, right? Your daily reflection and the week reflection. As the quarter comes to an end, right? We also want to think about, how did I do this quarter? What did I learn? How am I progressing? Right? The reflections aren't meant to be extra work or busy work. If you're truly learning, if you're truly thinking about your growth, right, you have to embed those pauses to really sort of check in and write about that piece. So for the Dear Reader letters, and let me emphasize, it's a letter, okay? It's not just that daily post, one sentence. It should have multiple paragraphs, 3 in total. And in those multiple paragraphs, you should at least have 8 to 10 sentences by the time you address a lot of the questions I provided. Okay, so the short version, of course, I provided a lot of the topics at the top. Paragraph 1 is all about content, your reflection on democracy, topics, connections to today. Paragraph 2 is what every single school and our district is striving for, is to have you connect to what we call the 5 C's, right? In addition to my job as being your online world history teacher, teaching you history, the lessons that we use, they incorporate the C's, right? You're either critical thinking, you're communicating the Flipgrid, you're being creative with the Enlightenment Song project, you're developing good character, good citizenship, thinking about your civic engagement, education PSA. So the assignments that I choose and prepare for you guys are to address those C's. So I want you to think about how you're progressing on that. Okay, paragraph number 3 is going to be all about setting some goals, thinking about how you're progressing in the class as a whole. What are your strengths in the e-learning class? What are your struggles? For a lot of people, perhaps it's still managing that time management, making time for the course. Is it communication skills? For some of you, maybe pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, even just posting on a Flipgrid, right? So these types of things I want you to think about, and I put a little graphic there. When we set goals, we want to try to set, we call them SMART goals. So not just, random, I want a unicorn, I want $1 million, and I want an A in online history. Okay. So SMART goals are more specific, you can see. They're more measurable. Okay. How will you measure your progress? They're achievable. Okay. They're realistic, and there's timeliness. Okay. So for our timeliness, as we reflect this week, we know we just have a few short weeks again. If we're looking ahead, we have October. November will be a short month, of course, with Thanksgiving. And then we will end the semester before we go off to winter break in that case. All right, so take a look at those directions. And again, the drop box will be over here, which is looking at week number 9, Dear Reader. All right, and then last but certainly not least, then I have posted the last piece to take a look at, and I have posted everybody's name. You will find a link to your Flipgrid. Now, in your Flipgrid, you should find that there are 2 private grids, meaning only you and I can communicate on this grid. So to be clear, your classmates will not be able to log into this grid because, again, you'll have your own password. Okay, so when you log into the grid, you'll find that there is one grid that's for reflections, and then there's one for questions. Okay, so directions. Use the space to talk about things that are going well, what you want to improve, general reflections, and then any questions along the way. Now, at first glance, okay, I don't have any questions. Everything's good. Okay, good, but I am going to challenge you to at least